So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. Whew, I'm excited because we have yet another phenomenal guest expert. Her name is Allison Stillman. She is amazing. She is the first individual I've ever had on this show. In fact, the first individual I've ever talked to that is an aromatic alchemist. Oh my goodness. And it is very intriguing and interesting. And I cannot wait to share her brilliance with you. So stay on until the end. You will not, you will love it. You will love every moment of it because she is an amazing woman and so fun to talk to. And we're going to get a lot of value from her to help show you what key elements you can implement in your own business to get greater success. That is what this whole show is all about. The Mind, Body, Business Show is a show for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. And my whole purpose for this show, my mission, is to bring on incredible and very successful guest experts like Allison Stillman so that all you need to do is listen, take notes, and then model, which means copy. Do what she has done. Use the elements of the recipe, the ingredients that got her to where she is and continues to keep her there and moving even higher. All you need to do is take notes and model success. That's how wonderfully simple it is to be successful. It does take work. You need to implement what you learn, but at least you now have the recipe. So you need to put the ingredients, mix them up, put them in the oven, cook them. You got to do that work. Got it? All right. So again, the Mind, Body, Business Show. It is about the 3 pillars of success. These came about as a result of my 10 years, a little over 10 years of studying just successful people. I got focused and said, what makes people successful? I don't care about all the other ones, the complainers and whiners. I want to go after the ones that have made it and have achieved a higher level of success, say, than maybe me. And what I found, these are people that are my mentors that I know personally. These are also folks who have written books, who are authors I may not have met, but are still with us. These could be others that have authored books or audio tapes that are no longer with us. And what I found through this 10-year quote unquote study is that these 3 elements kept bubbling to the top about why they were so successful. And they are the very elements and components of this show's name. Mind, meaning mindset. To a person, each successful individual had a very powerful, yet more importantly, very flexible mindset. Very important. And then body. They literally, to a person, took care of themselves physically by exercising on a regular basis and also what they ate and drank nutritionally. And then business. Business is multifaceted. There are so many amazing skill sets that one must master in order to build a thriving business and then grow it. Many skill sets like marketing, systematizing, team building, leadership, sales. I could go on for a while. And the thing is, to master just one, it's kind of like becoming an expert at anything. It takes on average 10,000 hours in that particular field. Same thing with mastering anything. The good news is you don't have to master every single one. The good news is if you just mastered one skill set, and in fact, it is one of those that I mentioned just a moment ago in that list, the small list. If you master just one skill set, then the rest can fall into place. And that's all you need to do. And that one skill set is the skill set of leadership. Once you have mastered that, and yes, you can start before you even have a team, leading yourself. But once you've mastered the skill set of leadership, now you can bring in and pull those people into your team that have mastered those skill sets that you have yet to master. And quite honestly, many of them you never will. There's just not enough time for all of those things to happen. That's what makes it so beautiful. So that is the Mind, Body, Business Show. And another wonderful trait I've noticed of nearly every successful individual that I've ever interviewed or studied is also a very avid reader of books, and not just any books. And with that, I'm going to segue into a little segment I affectionately call bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yeah, there you see it. Real quick word of note. When you're watching this show, instead of clicking away and going to these resources, I highly, highly, highly recommend that instead that you write them down. So in this case, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Write it down on a separate piece of paper, on notepad on your computer, or whatever you're watching on, and then wait till the show's over. Then go back and visit those resources. Why do I say that? I've seen this happen. I would hate for you to miss that one golden nugget that Allison is going to provide because your attention was taken elsewhere. Write it down and just keep listening and keep watching during the whole time. I've seen this happen many times from stage live events where I know I'm getting to the juicy part and I see an attendee get up because they need to go use the restroom. So if you need to use the restroom, well, it might be too late because she's coming on really quick. So need to take care of those things when you can. But we got maybe a minute or two. This will be the time. If you need to, go quickly and then come right back. Reachyourpeaklibrary.com is literally a resource I had developed with you in mind. And I'm talking about you, the entrepreneur, either successful or you're still struggling and trying to get there. It doesn't really matter because books in this library really cater to all levels of successful people. And I have myself personally read every book on this website, and I vet them because they had profound impact on me, either professionally or personally or both. So not every book I've ever read is in here. That is just there for you. Just click the buy more buttons next to the book that resonates with you. They're not in any particular order. And trust me, this is not what I would call a money-making website. That is not the purpose of it. The purpose is to give someone like you a nice starting point if you haven't started reading, or another jump-off point to continue reading. All right, I'm done blabbing because I'm excited. I want to bring on our special guest expert, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Here we go. Get ready. Buckle in.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one, the only Allison Stillman. Yes.
Thank you so much, Brian. Great to be here.
This is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. Real quick, one tidbit of housekeeping here. For all of you watching live, and I see you coming on, it's great to have you here. I see comments flying in already. We'll get to those in a moment. You see that nice red and white logo up above Allison's left shoulder on the right if you're watching this on video. It is the Big Insider Secrets. Why is that important? Because they sponsor this show. And what they do is they allow me, the host, they're amazing people. They allow me to give away every single show a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resorts, and anywhere they have multiple destinations, Mexico, the United States, and around. And they are legitimate vacation stays. In other words, you're not going to show up and they're not going to take you down to the basement, water torture you into a timeshare. That's not how it works. No, it's a real legitimate vacation stay. You want to stay on to the end. You have to watch this live on video. So if you're listening to this on podcast and you want to get part of this, then go to themindbodybusinessshow.com, themindbodybusinessshow.com. Don't forget the on front. And down at the bottom of that page, on the main page, you'll see a registration form. All that does is remind you of our next upcoming live show, and it gives you a link immediately. You click, and you're watching us. And now you can then, as someone who hasn't seen the show, and even if you have seen it, if you're here live, you can register to win multiple times. Doesn't matter how many per show. One per show, but you can do it multiple shows. So be sure to stick around to the end. You do not want to miss that. Now it is time to introduce respectfully and professionally this amazing woman. To my left, you're right on the screen. Allison Stillman is an author, transformational leader, and an acclaimed aromatic alchemist. I love that title. Her book, The Sacred Art of Anointing, was the first of its kind and continues to educate people about the powerful ancient art of ceremonial anointing, and was featured in the Harvard Divinity School Library. And she has also been featured in New York Times Bestselling Books, magazines, and radio shows across the country. Allison has been working with thousands of clients around the world to assist them in transforming their lives through her alchemical coaching practices. I got it right. Yes, it is amazing. This was a whole new concept to me until we spoke. It's been a while now for that first time, but so intriguing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Allison Stillman. This is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Great to be with you.
And yeah, we're going to dive deep and find out what it is that made you successful and has made you successful so that others can simply model and copy that. I know there's lots of experience that you have. You're obviously a very intelligent woman, very bright. And I'm so blessed that you have come on this show to share your wisdom with our audience and yours as well. And what I love to start with usually is the first word of the show in the title, mind, because in my opinion, humble opinion, that where we are today, whether we're successful or not, it's 100% due to our own mind. What's going on? It's the foundation of all of your success or lack thereof. And what I love to find out right off the bat is, Allison, when you get up in the morning, you know, being an entrepreneur is super simple, right? We just sway on back and forth on a hammock, drinking umbrella drinks, and we just rake in the money doing nothing, right? No. It's arduous. It can be. It's challenging. So when you get up every morning, Allison, knowing that you have challenges ahead of you, setbacks coming up, what is that keeps you driven? What is going through that beautiful brain of yours when you get up and you're about to start another great day of changing the world?
That's such a great question. Well, I start every single day by meditating. So I get my mind in the right place to approach my day. And then one of the next practices that I do after I finish that is I like to write down 10 things I'm grateful for. First thing I do when I wake up, because I did a workshop with a gentleman by the name of Sean Aker, who wrote The Happiness Advantage. And he's also written a number of different books. He was a neuroscientist, neuropsychologist who taught at Harvard. And you can rewire the neurons of our brain. And since the beginning of time, we have been hardwired to look for the negative in life, right? Because it was a survival thing. And we've maintained that for 250,000 years. And you can override that and learn to create a positive first impulse by doing things like practicing gratitude, adopting the attitude of gratitude. And so if you first thing in the morning, before you do anything, get out of bed, you wake up and you go, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for my beautiful home. I'm so grateful for this kitty who sleeps right next to me. I'm so grateful for the people that love me, you know, whatever it is that comes to mind. And you write them down, because writing clarifies thought and it stimulates the reticular activating system of the brain to bring you more of it, right? So, and also if you can really get into this practice, you want to do it at night before you go to sleep too. And maybe 10 is too many. Maybe you want to start with 5 or 3, but get into the practice of first thing when you wake up, looking for the positive, and you will retrain the neurons of your brain to lead with positivity and happiness.
I so love this, and I've interviewed so many successful people like yourself in the way of being that you're successful, and many of them do the same similar thing. They have what some would call habits, others call rituals. It's something that they do. It's a discipline, and like you said, some will do in the morning, some will do at night, some will do both, or just night, or do both. And what I found is it's a common trait of highly successful people is that they have some kind of routine. That's another word for it as well. And what you're outlining here, I think, is of supreme importance to everyone watching and listening. Is like, that stuff doesn't work. If you're thinking that and you're watching or listening to that, you want to kind of erase that stinking thinking, because what Allison is saying is absolutely true. I know this by experience, by doing exactly what she's saying. I used to drive long distance, and I would just sit there and say out loud what I'm grateful for. You know, the sky, the clouds, the view I have that no one else sees right now because no one else is in my body looking at what I'm looking at. I thank God for that. I think, and it doesn't matter how ridiculous it can be, that it sounds, but it doesn't matter. I'm thankful for that little weed over there and that dead twig over there, and that I can see them and everything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you exhibit and exercise that grateful muscle. What Allison just said is absolutely true. And I used to be that negative person, Allison. And I remember back in college, like when I started college and I left the home, where I didn't realize I had grown up in a negative environment. As far as what you just said, the mindset always goes to the negative thing first. It was a great childhood. I love my parents, so don't get me wrong with that. But I got to college and go, my gosh, everyone has an opinion and it's okay to have one. And when I was at home, I couldn't. And it was interesting. So I started doing a lot of work on the mind, and NLP, got certified there. And everything you're saying is perfect because it all begins right here. And that's what I want to tell. What do you think about this, Allison? Do you think that someone who's getting ready to start a business, let's say, where should they begin? Should they begin on the mechanics of whatever they're going to produce and sell? Or do you think more they should start working on their own mental state and their mindset before they venture on that? What's your opinion on that one?
Oh, wow. I could go into a long explanation for that. I think, first of all, you have to really get in touch with who you are and what your passions in life are, because you have to love what you do. It has to motivate you and drive you to want to serve in the way that only you can serve. And so you have to really get in touch with what makes you happy, what drives you, what you're passionate about. I know for me, my whole entire life, I have known what my mission is. Even when I was a little girl and people would say, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I would just say, "I just want to give and receive love." And they'd say, "Oh, you can't do that, honey. You have to be a teacher or a doctor or a nurse." And I'd say, "No, I just want to give and receive love." And what I've learned through the many spiritual teachers and transformational mentors and coaches that I've had is that in order to give and receive love, I have to become the vibration of that or the frequency of that. And I know now that my mission is to raise the frequency of love on the planet. And I do it through a lot of different things. I have a lot of different avenues that I work through. And in order to do that, I have to become that. And so for me, that's always paramount. It's number one in all of my practices, is so that I can become a better version of myself and serve others and help bring them to the place of a better life and creating more prosperity, abundance, love, whatever it is that they're wanting to manifest in their lives.
I love that answer. It rings so true. And it's so interesting that there have been two camps on that topic of you should be passionate about what you do. I've heard two sides. One would say what you say, and another would say, don't worry about that. Just go after maybe something that you're good at and that you have experience in, and just go in to make the money. And I'm really simplifying this, but I have found personally that what you say to be my truth is to be passionate about what you do, to love what you do, because when you do, you can become the product of the product, a product of the product, and represent it, because now you're fully, wholly, totally immersed like you are, Allison. And that way you can give the most for me, and I can tell it is for you. The most important thing is that whomever I'm working with gets the results they came for. And I will do everything in my power, coaching and otherwise, to make sure that that happens, because I gain satisfaction when they get success. It's not about my making money. That comes. But when you focus on the other person, the outcome of your client or your loved one, whatever, I found personally that the results are manyfold better in the end. Does that resonate with you at all?
Absolutely. I think the greatest happiness in life comes from being in service to others. And I know for me that my passion for plants and flowers and aromatherapy and magic and synchronicity has totally changed my life in so many different ways all along the way, and brought me to the teachers that I needed and the mentors and the coaches. And I'm a continual work in progress. I believe that we all need teachers and we all need coaches and we all need mentors, because in life, you're either growing or you're declining. So you have to make an effort to continually be growing and changing and evolving, or you're just sitting back waiting to die. And when I first learned that from a business coach I was so resistant to that. And I said, well, wait, I like being in my comfort zone. And then he said, just go outside and look at all the trees and the plants. Are any of them ever stagnant? No, they're always going to seed, flowering, dying, reproducing, growing, growth spurts. And so when I looked at it that way, because I have such an affinity to the plant world, I realized, oh, it's true. You have to constantly be growing and evolving and changing, or you're doing the slide back down to inertia and going back under the grass.
I love that. And yeah, I resonate with that totally. Continual work in progress. That was a great phrase. I'm a continual work in progress, always growing. And yeah, for a lot of people, me too, I was resistant to that in the beginning. It was like, when do we get to rest? When do I get to just say I finally made it? And then I thought about it for a long time, and I thought, that would be boring. That would be really boring if I made it to whatever that false image of the ceiling is, and I can't go any farther. And I've just, okay, I did it. I can get cash it in, become a philanthropist, or do whatever I want to do, but don't grow anymore. Boring. And then I found, I forget who said this, but I like to give credit, but I just can't recall the name of the person. But they said, what you need to do is start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And what that means is stretch out, step out of that comfort zone, get on a show if you've never been on camera, get on a podcast if you've never been interviewed, and really get over that biggest fear every human on the planet has, more than death, and that's the fear of public speaking. Once you crack that, then you'll see the results. You'll say, gosh, that was fun. It gets your heart pumping. It's invigorating. It's, Allison is calm and cool as a cucumber. I'm like shaking in my boots over here, and you can't tell. And it's a good shaking in my boots. It's an excitement. It's a positive emotion of, I love what I get to do. I love doing this show. I get so much from it. I get to meet amazing individuals like Allison. I cannot tell you how many. It's just, unbelievable. And so the more you step out of your comfort zone, the more you're rewarded. And Allison is testimony of that. And thank you for doing that over and over, Allison, because without you doing that, we wouldn't have your brilliance with this aromatherapy and everything that goes with it.
Thank you. I just heard a great acronym for FEAR. So we've all heard false evidence appearing real, right? Face everything and rise. Right. Ooh. So fear tends to make us contract and restrict and move away from it because it's scary sometimes. And sometimes it's justified. If a bear were chasing you, you would probably want to run. But in most cases, especially when it comes to personal development and growth, it's not comfortable, like you said. And our instinctual nature is to stay in a box, to stay in the cave, because if we go out of that cave, boy, that saber-toothed tiger is going to take us down, right? That's right. And you have to be willing to face your fear, walk through it, and rise above it, right? That's the whole point of evolution and growth. And that's why personal development and having teachers and coaches and that push you out of your comfort zone so that you can grow is so important.
My goodness, you are laying it on thick, and I love it. I mean, good stuff. This is amazing. Teachers and coaches, every sentence you are breathing is gold. I mean, there's so much to comment. Oh my goodness. Let's go we have a question from a viewer, Pamela Osley, and let's see how we go with this one. She says, what do you do if you have a bad day? How do you change it right then so the day, how do you change it right then so the day is better? Or do you just go with it and allow the feelings? How does that work for you, Allison?
Great question, Pamela. So there's a few things that I do. One, of course, is I could always go meditate, which will definitely change the energy. I love putting oils on. So I anoint myself every single morning, and I anointed myself before the show. And sometimes I anoint myself before I go to sleep. And when you smell certain oils, it changes the emotional center of the brain. That's the first place that is impacted when you inhale an oil. So you can change how you're feeling just by smelling. And then another couple of things that I love to do, I love walking in nature, and I like to do walking meditations where I really become one with the forest and the trees and the eagles and the hawks and everything else that comes along my way. And then the last one, which is really a great one, and I learned this from a good friend of mine who's a singer-songwriter, and her mother used to work in the orphanages in India with Mother Teresa. And so my friend would send over her CDs and her music, and Mother Teresa would play the music for the children, and she would make them dance every single day for 20 minutes. And she said that if you dance for 20 minutes a day, you'll always be happy. So if I wake up and I'm not there and my practices don't get me there, I have my favorite dance playlist and I put that on and I just dance like nobody's watching. Well, of course, the only one really watching is my cat. I just go for it and I get all that energy out. And then I can do things like say positive affirmations and statements that are empowering. And so I can change the behavior and the emotional centers of my brain by doing that.
So not just one answer, Pamela. That's how wonderful Allison is. She's got it from multi angles. I mean, I don't dance, but I will run outside and in my bare feet. So I'm earthed onto the grass and do some jumping jacks, get the heart pumping, look up at the sun, get some vitamin D going. Yeah, I mean, and I used to think all of this stuff, Allison, I used to think all of it was a bunch of woo-woo, a bunch of stuff. Like, give me a break because, the whole male thing. Yes, Sudden Brilliance says, I love that just dance. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and Pamela says, thank you. She likes all of those options. So, yeah, thank you. Great question, Pamela. I appreciate that. Paige, I don't want to overstep. She commented earlier on before we started, I have a big picture outline of what and who would be optimal to have my business. That's great. Defining your avatar, your ideal client. That is very important that you have that page. So good job there. And we can go into that later, but this is an organic show. We just go with the flow. And Allison makes that really simple. I got to tell you, she's an amazing woman and very, as you can tell, very experienced, very skilled, very knowledgeable, very intelligent. So all of those are perfect reasons to do what she does. Follow her. And I'm telling you, so I recommend everybody take notes, writing it on. I'm producing the show, starring it, directing it. Well, no, Allison's a star, but I myself am taking notes throughout the entire show. So I'm not ever saying anything to do that I wouldn't do myself. And I implore of you to do the same because first take the notes. There's a great sequence that goes with this. Learn, which is what you're doing now with Allison. You write it down. Then you go back to what you wrote down, and then you do. So you put it into action. And then you put it into action at such a deep level, then soon thereafter, you then teach. When you teach, that is when it's ingrained at the deepest level of the learning system. And that is a great formula or strategy for success. So get out and dance. She said, do it. You wrote it down. Get out and dance. Now go tell somebody else to do the same thing. You've done the learn, do, teach. Pretty simple. It's not rocket science.
So I just have to say, Brian, that when we first had our conversation, and I mentioned some oils that you should be using, when you say that it's kind of woo-woo, you have become woo-woo because you are now using essential oils.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think it's woo-woo anymore. And when you first said it to me, I had reached a point in my life. I'm open to all of these. I know that having talked to you, before learning what you did, just in a little bit, I knew you knew what you were talking about. I knew you had a success. I just go, when people have success, I don't question things like I used to. I just go with it. It's like, that sounds really odd. Instead of questioning, I get a deeper interest. I get a more deeper curiosity. And you talked about it, we all we're wired to be negative thinkers and put up that woo-woo symbol and say, get away from me. I don't want to do that. I love being able to be curious and say, wow, there's a gentleman I had on that did breath work that helped heal just by breathing techniques. And I thought, wow, I've never heard of that until we had that. And then I did it with him. He gave me a session and it was like, oh my God, it was awesome. So I'm wide open to it all now. And to everybody out there, be discerning, be sure you do your research on the person or persons making those claims. With Allison, I can vet for her. She is phenomenal without without batting an eye, you can trust what Allison says works and is true. Just to put that out there. But yeah, I don't have woo in my vocabulary anymore as far as the way I feel about things. It's just curiosity now, and then take it to the next step. And yeah, and because of Allison, I have running right next to me on my desk essential oils. And in fact, one of those that she recommended to me when we spoke some time ago. So thank you for that. It's probably why I'm so like just jazzed and high energy right now. I just, because I put a nice little, a little cocktail in there, a combination of goodies in there. It's like, ooh, love it.
Yes.
So
and
this
I
is
have
phenomenal.
my oils going in the background as well.
I love it. Hello. Is it Hilly? Hilly Z, how are you doing? Great to have you on. So great to have folks coming on and saying hi. I love that. If you have a question, go ahead and write that in the chat as well. We'll get to it, time permitting. If you have a question for Allison, she's the guest. She is the expert. She's not the guest. She's the expert. I'm going to reframe that. So I talked about in the beginning, the skill sets, mastering skill sets for a business. And then I'm definitely going to, following this question, ask you more about your business and how people can benefit from what you do. And leading into that, though, there are many, many, many skill sets that are paramount. They're just absolutely mandatory for any business to succeed. If you were to narrow it down to the top 3 skill sets that you currently believe, so based on where you are today, because it's different for everybody, but where you are today in your business, what would you say are the top 3 skill sets that you would implore of others to work toward mastering for their business?
I think we kind of touched on the first one before, is my willingness to continue to grow and learn and evolve, and use that learning experience to share experience and wisdom and value with others, so that it's not just me saying, oh, this is going to be so great for you based on science or what I've read. It's no, I have walked through this. I know this works, and I know this can really help you. And I think really having strong connections with the people that you serve, building strong relationships is really an important thing. And I think bringing as much value to the people that you serve as possible are the top 3 that come to my mind. Now, everyone's got to do all the little things that you do, the website and all that stuff. But to me, that's very secondary to I think really it's leading with a heart-based business.
Yeah, and it's so true. All the mechanical things like the website and the marketing and sales, they are very important to learn and master. But if you don't have the baseline, the foundation built, like you've just so eloquently detailed out there, Allison, willingness to learn and building strong relationships, that is a huge one. Oh my goodness, I could go all day on that one. I used to be I'm an automation freak. I love automation, anything to do with automation. I'm a software engineer from days gone by, and I just love anything I can do on a computer that will make my life and other lives easier. And I always thought if I just built a massive list and just automated the emails and they went out, I just sit back and rake it in. And I found out the long and hard way that is not how it works. You actually need to build one-on-one relationships, which takes time. And for automation freaks, that's not an efficient use of our time in our mind, but it is. It's the most efficient use. And you just learn how to sift and sort and make great relationships, not always with the intent of selling them. Just see if there's many times I'll have folks on my show, Allison, and by the time we're done, sometimes I become a client of theirs. I don't look at it as I want to make somebody a client of mine. I look at it as let's just have a chat and see where it goes. And because of you, I've learned so many great things about aromatherapy and things. It's amazing. So just go out with the open mind. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know why. I just went off on a massive tangent and kept going. But and then bringing as much value, that is so I can tell you care. Allison, you care about the people that you work with. You want to give them the best experience possible, the best results possible. And if you wouldn't have said that if that wasn't true. And so I think you're talking about the foundation of the greatest skill sets to develop. And I think I don't think there's a wrong answer to that question, by the way, but I think it's a really solid one. I'll give you that for sure. Very solid.
Thank you.
Yes, totally agree. What do we got? Nope, nobody else over there. That's good. So, okay, your business. I wanted to go touch on that. I love hearing about other successful entrepreneurs and who they cater to. So, this is a multi-part question. Who do you say who are the people you cater to on a normal basis? Are they, say, entrepreneurs, corporate companies, individuals who are not in business, or some mixture, or none of the above? And then do you have a success story or two that you would like to share with everyone? And while you do that, I'll bring up your website so folks can get a look at that as well.
So I would say that I cater to everyone. It doesn't matter if they're entrepreneurs or they work in corporate or they don't. I really love working with people who want to change their lives, who aren't happy where they are. They're feeling stuck. They're not manifesting what they want to manifest. And I have learned, I did a very intensive study with Bob Proctor, who has just this last month left our planet. And I'm so eternally grateful for everything that I've learned. And one of the things that I've learned from him, and also one of my mentors now is Dr. Joe Dispenza, is that we all come into this earth. And when we're born, we're these pure divine beings, and we have to fit into earth. And it's an experiential realm. And we go, oh, wow, what am I doing here? How do I do this? What do I do? And you look to your mom and your dad and you borrow their beliefs. And then you borrow your family's beliefs and your community's beliefs. And by the time you're 5 years old, all of your subconscious programming is intact. And then you have experiences in your life that start to build up these walls so that you can survive in this free will zone of suffering. And you learn mechanisms to be in this world, and you're run by your subconscious programming. And so what Bob was really great at showing me is that until you change the subconscious programming, you're going to keep getting the same results. And so part of the work that I do is this transformational life coaching, or alchemy coaching. I like to call it conscious alchemy coaching. And I'm really good because I've been doing it for 35 years of honing in on what those subconscious programs are. And it's just one of the gifts that I have from doing it for so long. Intuitively, I can ask the questions that get you to the subconscious programs that may be holding you back from really achieving what it is that you want in your life. And working with the essential oils that work with the limbic system of the emotional and behavioral centers and long-term memory, you can change your subconscious programming, and you can change the neural networks of your brain, the emotional behavioral centers, and you can completely write your story. You can completely write a different story. And I'll give you an example. I have a client. She's actually become a good friend. I tend to fall in love with my clients because I get to know them so intimately. But I've known her for about 30 years, and she came for a session. This is probably 7-8 years ago. And I said, okay, what do you really want? What's the end game here? What are you wanting to manifest in your life? And she said, I really want to buy a house. And I said, okay. And this was in December. I said, put a date on it. When do you want to buy that house? And she said, I want to buy it 1 year from today, December next year. And I said, okay, great. We did the work, worked together for like 2 hours online. And I created a special blend for her and gave her her homework. 4 months, actually 3.5 months later, she sends me a text saying, I just bought my house. I'm like, wow. So I have lots of stories like that, they just bring me so much joy, because people, when you really want to change, you can create anything. Quantum physics is such a great field to study these days, because they're really showing us scientifically who we really are. We've been bought into the belief that we're just these human beings having a human experience. No, we're not. We're these supernatural creator beings that are having a human experience, but we can create and manifest anything we want. We just have to know what it really is that we want. And we have to reprogram ourselves to become the frequency of that which we're seeking to attain.
Yeah, and by being intentional about it and proclaiming it, and then going through work with someone like Allison Stillman to make it happen. Do you have neurolinguistic programming background?
Not intentionally, consciously, but I'm sure there's a little bit of that in there. I've read about it and studied it a little bit, but no, not official training.
Yeah. It sounds very similar in sound, except for the aromatherapy, of course. And it's cool that you've got that what do you call a sixth sense about it, where you have the ability to find out what's going on subconsciously and what programming needs to be reprogrammed. And that's the good news for everyone, is that we do have programming going on in our brains. It's like a supercomputer. The good news is it can be reprogrammed for better. And Allison is one of those that can help you do that. And when would now be the right time to contact Allison Stillman, right? Like that, throwing when would now be the right time. Do that on purpose for fun. There's a question that I literally had the same question earlier in my mind. I just didn't bring it to the front, but I'm going to give credit to Sudden Brilliance. Asked, what is the process of creating an anointing routine? What does that involve?
Well, I started, gosh, this is probably 32 years ago. I had a past life remembrance when I was in an aromatherapy class with one of the world's leading aromatherapists, who's a doctor, who's written 1 million books. And it was the first time I ever smelled pure frankincense oil. And frankincense is a psychoactive oil, which means it induces visionary states, which is why it's been used for thousands of years in religious and spiritual ceremony. And to this day is still used in a lot of the sacraments of the church, and is diffused in sanctuaries to sanctify them before people come in. And I had this experience, and I went back in time. That's all I can say. And I started using frankincense. I bought some from the teacher and started using it in my meditations. And I remembered the anointing rites of passage that were done in the temples of Egypt thousands of years ago. And I started playing with it after about 6 months, and putting people and friends on the table and anointing them with different oils. And I've been using essential oils for 45, 48 years now. So I have a pretty big collection of them. And I started putting people on the table, and they started having these amazing experiences. And I went, wow, this is really something. So the very definition of anointing is to take an oil or blessed water and to rub it on someone or something as an act of consecration. And when you consecrate something, you're making or declaring it sacred and divine. So a very simple anointing ritual that you can do for yourself is to take lavender, frankincense, blue chamomile, whatever oils you have, and put them in a blend of carrier oil like jojoba oil or olive oil, whatever you have, apricot kernel oil, so that they're not too strong. You never really want to use essential oils undiluted on the skin. And make a little anointing blend, and you can anoint all the energy centers of your body. And not only will it bring you into a place of alignment and balance in your body, but it'll also balance the emotional center, and it'll give you a sense of comfort and protection and strength when you're out in the world, which I think these days is so important. I don't go out into the world without anointing my whole body with oils, because it sets up this frequency, this energetic frequency around my body, the electromagnetic field that we all have. It strengthens that so that we're not feeling all of the effects of everybody else's emotional states these days.
That's important for sure. I love that you said frankincense, because that's what's in my diffuser right now. It's probably a little blurry, but that's what that is. And got
good for you.
other fun mixtures in there. I love frankincense. It's a good smell as well. And yeah, that's the other thing. So I was curious that too, is like, do you apply it to your skin? Do you apply it to your clothes? I mean, that kind of thing. So yeah,
Your
so you
skin.
kind of dilute it with olive oil or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't cook with it and don't ingest it, correct?
Correct.
Just want to make sure people know it's not for cooking, even though there's olive oil included there. I want to be sure we're safe. But great question. Thank you for that. That was phenomenal. I'm checking time. We're good on time. You are an amazing entrepreneur. You're saving. I said saving. You're changing and you're saving lives, no doubt. You're helping people find a home in 9 months quicker than they wanted. That's pretty amazing. And what would you say, from the point of view of being an entrepreneur, what is your absolute favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur? You know, running your own ship, going your own path instead of following one that someone else is telling you where to go. What is your favorite aspect of it?
Helping people change their lives. That's the number one thing. And in terms of my own personal benefit from it, I like the freedom of being an entrepreneur. I like not trading time for money, and I like building my dreams as opposed to building somebody else's dreams.
There it is. That's the sauce. That's the sauce right there. Building. Oh my goodness. So resonate with all that. Having been in corporate myself as well, it's like I literally looked at coworkers in sadness because they had no plan beyond what they were doing that day. I mean, it was just go punch the clock, get your usual paycheck. At least they can count on it. So they like security. And please, nobody, please don't take this the wrong way. I have nothing negative to say about those who wish to be employees and work at corporations. We need them. We need them. We need all of us. We need entrepreneurs. There are percentage-wise, there are far fewer entrepreneurs by far than there are employees, and that's okay. It takes a special breed. Not to say you're not special if you're an employee. My gosh, I just seem to be apologizing the whole time, don't I? But everyone's amazing. Everyone has a place. We're all put on this planet with different gifts, with the different talents, and it depends on what one person wants in their life. And if it's to be secure and have a job and be able to know that you're getting paid a certain amount every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it happens to be, then that's fine. That's great. But it does take a different breed of person, because it's a never ending, moving wave of fun, and it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It can go up, 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 and down, down, down. I think it's thrilling, to be honest. I love it. It would be boring just to continue to do what I was doing back in the day and do that every day. That would just, And I see people that work for other companies that have things on their license plate that identify them as working for another company, like the company's name and things. I'm like, oh my, I know. And you know, Allison, that every individual has so much more to give than just that. And it kind of saddens me in a little bit. And if there's any way I can help them, I'd love to, but a lot of them have made up their mind, and it's difficult to get them out of that rut. And that's okay. They want to be where they want to be and happy. And that's fine. It's all about being happy with where you are. I just did a whole blab there. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think it's what we were saying earlier. You have to be willing to change, and change involves discomfort, and you have to be willing to walk through that discomfort. And again, it's, that makes us fearful. And I love the face everything and rise above it. Right.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Discomfort. That's the primary reason. Yeah. And yeah, I was in that comfort zone for quite some time myself, and I totally can get that. Yep. It's like, it's uncomfortable to change, and it is a huge change. It's a big one. But some can, ease the transition by, this is what I did. I first started getting into network marketing companies, like multi-level marketing, because there was still a company that had the foundation and all of the things, they did all the payroll, they did all the stuff behind the scenes that I wouldn't have to do. It wasn't such a monumental undertaking right out of the chute. And I could learn how to do better at sales. They could learn how to present in front of people back in the day when we did, in the room type meetings and things. So there was a lot of great things about that. So there are different degrees in which you can go about it. I did consignment. I sold greeting cards on consignment. I carried these big old racks around and put them in liquor stores and malls, and then I would go replenish them and then think real quickly. It's like, man, I'm not making enough money for the work involved here. I'm moving on. So you just learn and you continue. That's why this show is here. So you can just follow and model Allison Stillman and others like her and get there quicker and not go through the trial and error, and do what she said. Be sure you're passionate about what you do, and darn near anything is monetizable, if that's a word. Do you agree with that one, Allison, that no matter what your passion, there is a business that can be built around it?
I do, because we all have unique qualities and characteristics. There's nobody else like you. You are you, and you have attributes that no one else has. And there's a need for that in the world. And I just wanted to mention too, I love network marketing. I have done quite a few different businesses over the years because it's a great way to bring products to the market really quickly. But I think the bigger thing about network marketing and multi-level marketing is that it allows you to become the CEO of your own business, right? In the corporate world, 1% of the people become CEOs at the expense of the 99%. And this gives them that 99 percentile, gives them the ability to become the CEO of their own business. And it's a great way to really jump into personal development, because talk about getting uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah, they make it sound so easy. And so network marketing has been given a black eye for a lot of good reasons. I used to co-own a network marketing company way back in the day. It was a travel-based company, and it got a black eye, the industry did, and it was due to companies that were not operating on the up and up. They were not following the guidelines or the rules, or they were making promises that there was no way they would be able to keep them. And it just gave it a bad stigma. And there are wonderful companies out there. That's the whole point of this little blurb, is to say there are many wonderful, wonderful companies that are helping people change their lives. The thing with network marketing is so many companies make it sound like it's so easy. All you need to do is replicate yourself by bringing in someone that's like you, which is nearly impossible. And then you can just sit back and rake in the dough. No, you got to work. You got to work hard. You got to work long, and you got to really be after it. It doesn't change. Nothing's easy. Nothing is as easy as they make it seem. Some of the businesses, some are up front. Say, you're going to have to work your butt off. Thank you. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear the truth. But yeah, they are amazing. That's a great entry point if anyone's looking to break that seal of the corporate life. That would probably be a very good first step to go to. One of them. I wouldn't recommend consignment, greeting cards on consignment. I just wouldn't do it. It was a good learning. I look back at it. I don't think, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. I'm glad I did. I learned from it. I learned what I don't want to do. You always learn. Like you said, always be learning. I love that. If we were talking about, so Bob Proctor has recently passed, and there are others that have been great individuals, men and women alike, that have walked this planet, who have done great things. And if you were able to basically have a conversation in real time with any person that is no longer with us, like from history, if there was one person you could think of that you would just like to have a chat with, who might that person be, and then why?
The first person that comes to my mind is Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. And the reason for that is that, first of all, that book is amazing, was life-changing for me. But he was really on to quantum science long before quantum physics came into the realm. And that book is really based on quantum laws of manifestation. And it took him 20 years to write it. And it's a brilliant book on the quantum laws of manifestation, the universal laws of manifestation. And I would love to just hear what he learned along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it consisted of a large number of interviews of other highly successful people. Yeah, that would be interesting because he would be like kind of the surrogate in between of all these people, so you can get a lot of information about a lot of people from one individual. That's a great one.
Yeah,
You're amazing.
it's interesting too, because I'll just share the one thing that was the strongest part of that for me. That he interviewed 500 families over 20 years to learn what they all did to create enormous wealth in their families. And the one thing that they all did, and there was only one, is they said affirmations out loud 2 to 3 times a day.
There you have it. It's not woo-woo. And so if you're resistant or hesitant, not you, Allison, but those watching and listening, if you're resistant or hesitant to follow that advice, then I would just say you're resistant or hesitant to be successful, because it's just like baking a very good cake. I don't eat cake, but that's just the first thing that came to my mind. And so to do that, if I was given a cookbook with a recipe for a phenomenal cake, I guess German chocolate cake was my favorite as a kid. I used to love that. If I was given a recipe with the directions, the measurements, the time, stir it up in a pan, use this whisk, put it in the oven for a certain amount of time, take it out, put the frosting on. If I was given that, having never baked a cake myself, I'm pretty confident I could make a pretty darn good cake. Why? Because I have the right recipe. The same is true in business. All you need is the right recipe. As Brian says, pointing at Allison, saying that for the podcast listeners who are listening only. And all you need is one recipe. There are many, many recipes for great cakes, tons. And you can be successful at making a lot of different cakes. But in business, you only need one recipe. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter if it's got different ingredients. As long as it's congruent with your value system, you just find one that works. And we have one sitting right in front of you. Her name's Allison Stillman. She has the recipe. Just connect with her. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the time. This is perfect timing. Just connect with her and then go bake that cake that she gives you the recipe for. And then you'll see great results, like the woman who wanted a house in a year and she got it in 3 months. Is that a coincidence? No. Allison knows what she's doing and she's there to help you. That's the other beautiful thing. She wants the best for you. And so with that, I wanted to give you an opportunity real quick. Allison, you had a quick gift. Bring up your website again and you can tell people how to get that gift. And I think everyone should do this that's watching or listening.
Yeah, so this is based on a lot of work that I did with Bob Proctor and Dr. Joe and around my coaching business. And it's a book that I wrote, small book that I wrote called How to Transform Your Life. And it's based on the practices of gratitude. And you can go to my website, which is AllisonStillman.com, and just sign up to get the book, and then you'll get a link to download the book for free.
And yeah, I mean, everyone who's watching this, everyone who's listening to this, write this down. There are 2 L's twice. AllisonStillman.com. That's AllisonStillman.com. Doing that for our listening guests. So AllisonStillman.com. Go there. And it's above the fold. You'll see it near the top. Scroll down just a hair, and there's a place for you to put in your first name and your email address, and then you will get a free gift from Allison. And you know what? Even though it's free, I'm sure it's valued at much greater than $0. And one of the things that I just implore upon anyone who takes advantage of this is to treat it as though you just paid $997 for it. Because if you don't value it, you won't open it, you won't divulge it, or you won't devour is another word. You won't go through the content and take the action that is presented therein. So thank you for that. And we're not done, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around. I haven't forgotten. There's still another prize to give away. You all probably remember that. And we'll do that in just a moment. And one of the things, Allison, I know I can't believe we're near the end already. One of the things I love to do to close out every show is I like to ask each guest a particular question. And what I found over the years, I've been doing this for now 3 years, this show, the answers have been profound. It's just been amazing. And it's been just a joy to get the reaction from each individual. And it's a powerful question. It can be a little bit personal. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. But before I do that, for everyone that stayed with us live, good job, because now you're going to learn how you can win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of our friends at the Big Insider Secrets. The CEO is Jason Nast, a dear, dear friend of mine. I'm going to put it up on the screen now. And so for just a moment, you have our permission to take your attention away just long enough to put this URL in. In fact, maybe better, write it down. I'll keep this open for a couple hours after the show's over. Write this URL down and then enter to win. It doesn't matter how quick you enter. That's not going to change the odds of your winning. So you can go to ryp.im/vacation. Open up your browser and go to this website, RYP, which stands for Reach Your Peak, which is my company name, ryp.im/vacation. Make sure it's all lowercase. And look, you're not gonna get any sales materials of any kind. You're just going to be entered into the offer or the giveaway to win a vacation, and you will also be added to a notification of our next live show. And if you don't want to receive those anymore, you can opt out. We honor opt-outs, unlike some others. So we don't want you to go through anything you don't want. Like to respect your wishes, and that's that. So go ahead and do that. I can't wait to see who wins. And we have one amazing final earth-shattering question to ask Allison. And now after all that buildup, she's probably going, what the heck is this question? Well, the cool thing about this question, Allison, is there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It flat out does not exist. So the exact opposite is true. The only correct answer is yours. That's the only thing that makes this personal. Because it's unique to you. And yeah, that's it. So I know you're a vet on these podcasting shows and things, so you're probably not nervous at all. I get that. You're a professional. Are you ready for this big, amazing question?
I just have one other question before you ask me that question. Can I enter the contest to win the trip too?
Absolutely. We have had guests win. Yes, I'm not kidding. Yes. So yeah, you have competition out there. Those of you that are watching live, Allison's going to enter. She might win. And yes, good question.
I'm ready for the question. I'm teasing.
All right, here we go. That's a good way to get a good state going. Here we go. All right. Allison Stillman, how do you define success?
I think the ability to go to sleep at night with a smile in my heart and knowing that I've made the world a better place.
I love it. Love it. Love it. And I love how you took a moment. You know, some get it like instantly. Others take a moment like you did. And that's the other thing. It's just right. It's because it's yours. And I could tell you went deep with that. And that was authentic and beautiful. And thank you for that, because what I'm going to do eventually is put together a collaborative book with all of these answers, including yours. And I'll then reach out to you for your permission to add it into the book and give you some more exposure. I know you don't want that, but we'll definitely make sure that happens. I'm kidding. But definitely not kidding on the book. And
you can have my
permission. What's that?
You can have my permission. I already give it.
All right. It's done. Good. Yeah, I'm going to compile that, and it's going to be a fun, wonderful book. And it's interesting, Allison. I'm not kidding. No two people yet. I've been doing this 3 years, this show, and that question for 3 years. No two people have answered it the same way yet. I always say yet because I'm expecting it to happen, but it's so unique to every individual, their definition of success. So what does that tell everyone out there? I'm not successful yet. Well, according to your definition, maybe, which is the right definition. It's your answer. But in other people's eyes, maybe you are a resounding success. How many times have you heard that? Well, my gosh, you've made $10 million and you've got the mansion, you got the spouse of your dreams. You're successful as heck. And they're going, I haven't achieved what I set out to achieve yet, so I don't feel that way. It's amazing. I love this. Whew. And Allison, I love you for coming on the show. Thank you so much. You've been an absolute treat. Oh my gosh, incredible wisdom, intelligence, and results. And for those of you watching and listening, AllisonStillman.com, 2 L's in the Allison, 2 L's in Stillman.com. Go and opt in to get that ebook and get in contact with her. And on that note, real quick, Allison, what is an alternative or potentially even better way to get in contact with you? My God, I'm tongue-tied tonight. Is it those social media, email you're choosing so folks can reach out to you and start a conversation?
Social media. My email is ALLEE@AllisonStillman.com. People can always email me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, just look up Alison Stillman on social media, I'm sure. And you just have to see this beautiful face and you know that you found her and you're in. And you can start friending her and be professional about it. Be courteous and know that her time is valuable, as is yours. We get that. And just take advantage of her brilliance, but don't take advantage of her. How's that? All right. I love it. Allison, thank you so much. I deeply appreciate you coming on the show. It's been an absolute blast. We are going to call it a night. That is it for tonight on the Mind Body Business Show. I'm your host, Brian Kelly, and we will be back again next week with another phenomenal episode. Until then, so long, everybody, and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.